up, gang? Lane Carolina Jackpot time coming at you. It's time for our week 2 college football picks against the spread. Hope you enjoy these. While you're here, why don't you give this video a thumbs up? And hey, while you're doing that, why don't you subscribe to this channel as well? You'll enjoy the content, I promise. Just going to go through this slate of games, tonight's game, and then what we got going on tomorrow. You know, normally Carolina Jackpot would sit down, have all these games listed for you, circle the winners, circle the losers as far as against the spread, but daggum, I have not had time to do that this year so far. Hopefully, at some point, we'll get back to it, but we're just going to rattle these off anyway, and I'm going to give you my little synopsis on them. Some of these I feel pretty confident about. Some of them are kind of iffy, so feel free to throw a comment down there and let me know how you feel about them and how you're going. Tonight, Louisville going on the road to UCF, 7:30 p.m. in the bounce hizzy. Louisville catching 6 on the road at UCF. Go with UCF. Louisville looked like absolute crap last week at Syracuse as a favorite. So we'll definitely be going with the home Knights in that one. Tomorrow's slate, and these are kind of in chronological order, so don't get mad if I talk about some of the excuse me, bigger teams first here. That's what we got going on. Alabama, number 1, Crimson Tide on the road at Texas, 12 noon. Alabama is laying 20 on the highway in Austin. Yeah, one of the narratives I've heard about this game is it's going to be difficult for Alabama because number 1, they might not be taking the band because they're going to have to sit in the upper deck, and number 2, it's going to be hot in Austin. It's going to be hot in Texas. Guess what? I don't think Nick Saban gives a shit about the band, and number 2, I don't think that it's a whole hell of a lot hotter in Austin, Texas than it is in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. They're both pretty far away from the lower portion of the Mason-Dixon line, so I don't think that's going to have a lot of effect on this game. I've taken Alabama in this one cover. I don't ever really pick against Alabama early in the season. And number 2, you know, Nick Saban's lost like 2 out of his last 3 games as former assistants when he went for like, what, 15 years and didn't lose to a single one of them. Now he's lost like 2 out of his last 3. Last year, Jimbo Fisher during the regular season, and then Kirby Smart in a national championship game. I think he's going to make a statement in this one, and I think Alabama runs it up on them. Texas, good team offensively. I mean, but last week, that 59-10 win, dude, it was against Monroe. Monroe has been one of the worst teams consistently in FBS. That's just not a good litmus test. Yep, I know Alabama really didn't play anybody either. Utah State, better than Monroe by a long shot. Give me Alabama to cover. Ohio State at home against Ark State. Ohio State laying 44.5 at home against Arkansas State. When it's like this, I tend to think those lines are a little bit too high, but I think Ohio State covers that number. Give me something like maybe 49 to 0, possibly something like that, maybe 59 to 10. I really think that offense for Ohio State goes out and does a number on Butch Jones' gang on Saturday. After, you know, kind of a pretty pedestrian performance on Saturday against Notre Dame last week. Got Southern Miss on the road at Miami. Miami's currently ranked number 15 in the country. Miami is laying 25.5 at home against Southern Miss. Go ahead and give me the Hurricanes there. I think they're building something special. South Carolina on the road at Arkansas. Gamecocks are now catching 9 on the road at Arkansas. Easy money. Taking Gamecocks here. Cover that number. Yeah, and you people in the comment section today, you were full of yourselves. You definitely were full of yourselves with that one. Dude. Arkansas going to win 59-10. Arkansas going to win 44-0. And you know what? They may, but I highly doubt it. This game seems to be one of those spots where South Carolina goes out and plays pretty well. Yeah, and I think they do. Like I said, I think it's time that we are finally crossing away from the Will Muschamp regime and into the Shane Beamer regime. And, you know, like it or not, that's how I feel about it. You can make an argument for Arkansas, but I think South Carolina covers that number against them, and South Carolina wins the game outright. Wake Forest going on the road to Vanderbilt. Wake Forest currently ranked number 23. Vandy is 2-0 for the first time in a while. Vandy catching 13. Vandy catching 13 at home against Wake. I'm rolling with the Commodores here. I'm rolling with Vandy. You know, they can run the ball a little bit. Wake Forest defense has been kind of sus against the run this past couple of years. You know, they've been putting up some numbers themselves offensively and having some good teams. They've been kind of suspect in the running game, defense, and I think they go out and cover this number against Vandy covers this number at home against Wake. If Sam Hartman were not playing, I probably would go on ahead and pick Vanderbilt with the outright upset, because I just don't think that there's that much of a difference between them and Wake Forest. I really don't. Sam Hartman is coming back, though. I mean, who knows what kind of shape he'll be in. I mean, I guess he's good to go, but still, give me Vanderbilt to cover this number. I think they probably lose it, but I don't think they lose it by 13. Mizzou on the road at Kansas State. Kansas State is laying 7.5 at home. I'm going with the Road Tigers here. Going with the Yellow Taters, the Mizzou Tigers, to cover that 7.5. Wouldn't shock me if they outright won this game. I mean, what Kansas State is a middle to lower tier Big 12 team. A middle to lower 12, middle to lower tier Big 12 team. Missouri's defense played pretty well yesterday or last week. Gotta make all kind of mistakes. Pretty well last week for 3 quarters. Didn't do so great in the first quarter. They looked bad, but they rebounded. Had a pretty nice game. If they can find a way to neutralize Drop-a-Deuce Vaughn, I'd say hold him under 125 yards. Mizzou can win this football game outright. As it were, I think they cover. Adrian Martinez is the quarterback for Kansas State. He's not very good in my opinion. And I think Mizzou has an excellent chance here at pulling off a win. Duke on the road at Northwestern. Northwestern off last week after the kind of upset win in Ireland, the 31-28 win over Nebraska. They are 10-point home favorites against Duke, and Duke looked outstanding last week. Shut down Temple, and I think that Duke continues to roll this week. I don't necessarily know they win the game, but I think they'll cover that number. Going ahead and give me Duke to cover that 10 points on the road. They looked impressive to me, and I'll keep picking them until they don't any longer. North Carolina Tar Heels going on the road to Georgia State. The old Atlanta Braves home, Turner Field, has now been converted into the home of the Georgia State Panthers, the team that took a big giant L to my Gamecocks this past Saturday night. North Carolina is laying 7 points on the highway. I think the wrong team, honestly, is favored in this game. I'm just kidding. The wrong team's like not favored, but North Carolina's defense is absolutely, it's horrendous. It is horrendous, and that's a sentiment for bad. And Georgia State has some athletes that can run the ball. North Carolina's been susceptible to the run and the pass. I think Georgia State can definitely run it on them. Whether they can throw it on them or not, I don't know. That quarterback of theirs, Darren Granger, looked pretty pedestrian through the air against the Gamecocks. Maybe he completes a few more against North Carolina. Maybe not. But I still think that Georgia State's got the goods to keep this thing very, very tight. And it would not shock me at all. In fact, I made pretty much a guarantee. I think Georgia State's taking an upset win over North Carolina. Because North Carolina, I mean, they just deserve to lose this game. They deserve to lose it because their athletic department is stupid for allowing it to be scheduled 2 games, 2 back-to-back road games against Sun Belt teams. Why would you do? I can see one. I mean, I can see the App State thing. They came to Boone a few years ago, beat your ass, and now you return the favor. I can get that. Going to Georgia State, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. It just really doesn't. And it's not. I mean, I understand when South Carolina went to East Carolina last year. South Carolina and East Carolina are kind of like regional rivals. They've played a good bit. They played a lot when South Carolina was an independent. Now they sporadically play. That both teams are in conferences, but this one makes no sense whatsoever to me. And North Carolina absolutely deserves to lose this game, and I think they may. But I definitely have taken them to fail to cover against those Georgia State Panthers. UTSA on the road at Army. UTSA 2.5-point favorite on the road. Give me Army. They didn't look great against Coastal last weekend, but I think they bounced back in a nice way this week and get the home win over the UTSA Roadrunners. Jiggy, find something that's interesting here. Marshall on the road at Notre Dame. Notre Dame 20.5 points. They're laying at home. Going ahead and give me Notre Dame in that one. I think Marcus Freeman gets his first win as a head coach, and I think he gets it in a pretty big way here. Marshall's a decent team, but defensively, there's no way that they are going to be able to suppress Notre Dame. Appalachian State on the road at Texas A&M. Texas A&M is a 19-point favorite at home. This is a trendy little pick. People are picking App State to cover. No, not so fast, my friend. Appalachian State, for all they did this past weekend, their defense is atrocious too. And Texas A&M definitely has the goods on offense. Haynes King, Devin Achane, they did not get rolling against Sam Houston State. Sam Houston's a decent FCS team, very good, as a matter of fact. I think that they get it going against the Mountaineers here. I think they've got a good advantage there at quarterback. They're at home. Going ahead and give me Texas A&M there to roll and cover that big number. Tennessee on the road at Pitt. Tennessee laying 6 on the highway. We already talked about this one Wednesday night on the live show. I think Pitt is able to neutralize that Tennessee aerial attack a little bit. I think Pitt will play much better defensively, of course, than what Ball State did last Thursday night. And I think they take the win against Tennessee at home. Tennessee just, here's the thing. If they can force Tennessee into a turnover or two, they're definitely winning. That's where the real that's where it's going to be. That's where we're going to find out who's going to win or lose. But I think Pitt covers the spread. I think this will be a good game. One that I think will be #fun to watch. Washington State on the road at Wisconsin. Wisconsin laying 17 at home. I'll give you Washington State to cover that. I don't like Wisconsin to beat anybody by more than 14 points. Now, I know they did this past week. It was a nobody. Colorado on the road at Air Force. Air Force laying 17.5 at home. Colorado's not good, but a service academy, and I know they can run the ball a little bit. I know Troy Calhoun's team could possibly be like a one-loss team this year, but I'm still not buying that. Going ahead and give me Colorado to cover that number there. Memphis on the road at Navy. Memphis -5 on the road at Navy. I think Memphis covers. Not a great showing against Mississippi State last week. I think they bounced back, beating maybe about at least a touchdown. Got Maryland going on the road to the Jerry Richardson Stadium to take on the Charlotte 49ers. Charlotte won a game against the Power 5 opponent last year in Duke in their home state. It was the first time they ever beat the Power 5 opponent. Not happening this week. They're 0-2. They're down to the third string quarterback. Maryland is a 25.5 point favorite. And if I have one to give you, I'm going to go on ahead and tell you that there. Take Maryland to cover. That is my lock, stock, and two smoking barrels pick of the week. Maryland could probably beat this team by 45. We have, Akron and Michigan State doesn't have a line on it. Let's see what it is. Doesn't have one. It's not listed. Michigan State is a 34.5 point favorite over Akron. I like them to cover. Akron is terrible. Houston on the road at Texas Tech. Texas Tech, 4-point home favorite against Houston. Going ahead and give me Houston here. I think they upset Texas Tech. Houston's still a decent team. Survived overtime last week against the Roadrunners. And I think that Clayton tunes up the Texas Tech Raiders. Iowa State on the road at Iowa. The battle for the Cy-Hawk Trophy. Iowa, a 3.5 point favorite at home. Going ahead and give me the Hawkeye, the Cyclones to cover that 3.5. I could see them losing by 3. I could also see Iowa State outright winning the ball game. Iowa has absolutely no offense, and just, sad, really sad game. That last week they won 7-3. It was a field goal and 2 safeties. That's rough. Give me Iowa State to cover there. They've lost this rivalry game like 5 or 6 times in a row. It's high time that the Cyclones and Matt Campbell actually step up to the plate. I think they do. Virginia on the road at Illinois. Illinois, 4-point home favorite. Illinois showed me nothing to impress me last week. When week 1, I liked the way they played against Wyoming. I know Wyoming was not a good team. Their outman pushed them around a little bit. But then last week, or last Friday night, they go on the road and lay a big old turd burger against Indiana. And Connor Bazelak, a very pedestrian quarterback, a dazzled sack on the road. Virginia coming in here with Brennan Armstrong, big arm quarterback, guys who go in the NFL draft. They got it going last week against Richmond at home, won that game. I think they cover here, and I think I've taken Virginia on the money line in that one. Money line sprinkle, a little ACC love. Give me the Cavaliers in that matchup to cover that number. Kansas on the road at West Virginia. West Virginia, 13.5 point favorite. Tough break for West Virginia this past week. Kansas comes in after absolutely shellacking Tennessee Tech. Is West Virginia going to be full of piss and vinegar here? They're going to take it out on the Jayhawks, or I don't know, we're going to see something else. I'm taking Kansas to cover here. I don't think that the market has exactly caught up to Kansas yet, but this is a much better team. Their win-loss record may not really reflect it. It was a much more solid and much better coached team than what we've seen prior to 2021. Lance Leopold is going to be, if anybody will get Kansas turned around, this guy will do it. He was a big time winner at Buffalo, whose football program was absolute shits before he showed up. Before that, he was at Wisconsin Whitewater or some crazy place like that. I think that Kansas gets it done here, covers the spread on the road at West Virginia, and they go burn some more couches, because this little close win over Kansas is not going to be enough to whet the appetite of those hillbillies. Old Dominion on the road at East Carolina. ECU laying 12.5 at home. Going ahead and give me East Carolina to cover that 12.5. Old Dominion did pick up a win against Virginia Tech this past Friday night. However, Carolina Jackpot sees that was kind of a cheap win. They benefited off some turnovers there, and Virginia Tech's not very good. East Carolina got. I don't know what to say about it. I absolutely hate it for them. The way that ball game went down on Saturday afternoon. Poor Owen Daffer. Very uncharacteristic. God, I wish they could have put it in NC State season early. I don't know what it is about them. Well, I do know. I tell you what it is about them. I don't like them. I have never liked NC State ever since 1989 when Todd Ellis was the senior quarterback for the Gamecocks. NC State knocked him out of the ball game. They were hitting them all over the place, hitting him high, hitting him low. They went after his leg, took it out. He suffered a terrible knee injury, ended his career. And South Carolina went on, at the time we were a one-loss team, we went on to lose 3 of our final 4 games and lost 45-0 to Clemson. I don't like NC State. A couple years before that, they got some kind of cheap offsides call in the last play of the game. Got an untimed down against South Carolina, and they throw up some damn Hail Mary, and they beat us up that dump in Raleigh, North Carolina. I will forever pull against them unless they're playing you-know-who, and that's the way I feel about it. But go on ahead, give me East Carolina to cover that spread. I really went down a rabbit hole there. Kentucky going on the road against Florida. Florida's a 6-point home favorite. That's a tight line. That's a tight line. How good was Utah? We really don't know. I'm going to go on ahead here. I'm out on a limb. I'm going to go on ahead and take Florida to cover that number. I can see them winning by a touchdown. Kentucky looked like absolute crap on offense against Miami of Ohio. I'm just not a big believer in them, and this is not me hating on Kentucky. I just do not see it. I don't see them being able to go into the swamp and get this win. I just don't think that they have the Jimmies or the Joes on this year's team to get it done. We shall see. We shall see what comes through. But listen to what Carolina Jackpot tells you. Syracuse on the road at UConn. UConn is a 23-point home underdog, and I think they lose that ball game by more than 23 points. UConn is still UConn, and they're terrible. Syracuse looked pretty good the other night, and I think they get a nice win there on the road and go 2-0 on the season. I got USC on the road at Stanford. USC laying 8 on the road against the Cardinal. I think USC covers there, man. I think they do. I think that offense is the real deal, and Stanford is Stanford. They've been sputtering the last 5-6 years, and I look for that to continue. Arizona State on the road at Oklahoma State. Some pretty good games. Oklahoma State's 11.5-point home favorite. Go on ahead and give me Oklahoma State there to cover. I think that they had kind of a blase showing week 1. They got way out in front of all kinds of up on Central Michigan and kind of let them back in the ball game. Here, I think they jump out on Arizona State, and I don't think they let them back in the action. San Jose State on the road at Auburn. Auburn's 24-point home favorite. Give me San Jose State. I can see Auburn as a look-ahead spot. Got Penn State coming up next week. Go on ahead and give me them Spartans, baby. Hawaii going on the road to Michigan. Michigan's a 52-point home favorite against Hawaii. That's a lot of points. I have to disagree with old Zach Smith of the Minister Sports Podcast Center. He took that was one of his best bets, Hawaii minus 52. And so there's no way Michigan. I think they'll beat them by. I think they'll beat them like 60-0. I mean, Hawaii is I mean, hell, Vanderbilt beat them by what? What did Vanderbilt beat them by? 53 points? Yeah. Shit, give me Michigan all day long. Hawaii is a shit show. Boston College at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, 2.5-point home favorite. I think the wrong team's favored there. Going ahead and give me Boston College. Both these teams are 0-1. Boston College kind of lost at the end last week against a pretty decent Rutgers team. Virginia Tech turned the ball over a bunch, looked bad. Grant Wells, transfer quarterback from Marshall, he looked good on the first series of the game, running some design quarterback runs and stuff. But after that, I mean, Old Dominion made this guy look pretty pedestrian. And the thing about Boston College and QB Phil Jerkovic, 3 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions last week against Rutgers. But you also have to think, this guy didn't play but like 3 games last year. So he was rusty coming out. The game. I think he's a way better quarterback than Grant Wells. I trust Boston College here more than I do, Virginia Tech. It is their home opener at Lane Stadium in Blacksburg. But you know what? Over the years, I'm not going to say that home field advantage has been, that's overrated, but I'm going to say it's been diminished a lot. It's like South Carolina, Willie B. Everybody used to say, "Oh my God, that's an electric atmosphere for a game right there." You can't hardly nobody go into Williams-Brice and win. Well, yeah. And the same thing about Virginia Tech. You know what the difference is for both those programs right now? Both of them just not real good. That's the difference. So I'm taking Boston College to cover there against Virginia Tech. I think they win that game straight up. Baylor on the road at BYU. BYU, 2.5-point home favorite. Give me BYU. Their return. This is the most experienced team in the country coming back. I just think that I think they'll have their way with Baylor. It's kind of a strange place to play there, the BYU environment. And then with Baylor, shout out to the Baylor man in the comment section. I really don't know, who does Baylor have on their team? Who are their superstars? I don't know. I really don't. Maybe it's just a conglomeration of guys that are pretty good. What's wrong with these lines here? Oregon State, the Beeve, my Beeve, on the road at Fresno State, late one. Oregon State is a 1-point road favorite. Give Fresno State. I think there's something about the prime time home underdog. I'm gonna take. Well, this is prime time for them. It'll be 7:30 their time. Fresno State's just notoriously been a very, very tough team, a thorn in the side of Pac-12. Oregon State did get a big win last week at home against Boise State. Fresno State looked kind of pedestrian against Cal Poly. I think they come out and I think it's a really good game. I think it's a really close game, as the line would indicate. But I do think that Oregon State covers that big number, or covers that small number. Fresno State covers it. I think Fresno State wins. God, man, I'm messing up. Crazy. Mississippi State on the road at Arizona. Mississippi State laying 10.5 on the road in Tucson. This game was up to 14.5. It's now been bet down to 10.5. So the money is definitely coming in hot and heavy on the Wildcats. They are definitely a trendy barking dog. I don't know, man. I don't know. That much. I took Mississippi State, or I took Arizona minus 14.5 in our contest. I'm going to go on ahead and take Mississippi State at minus 10.5. I think they'll cover that. I think Mississippi State probably wins by about 13. They got a road travel here, but I just think overall, come on. I know that the way I was talking about Arizona, they were 1-11 last year. The only win was against Northern Arizona. They fought hard in every game. They covered spreads, yada, yada, yada. But, that only goes so far. Nice win on the road last week at San Diego State. But who is San Diego State? I mean, how good are they? I just don't know. I mean, I know how good Mississippi State is. Mississippi State went out there and just absolutely dismantled a Memphis team that they should have lost to last year. That one was, or did they lose to them? Something crazy happened at the end of that game. Somebody got screwed. Anyway, it was really close. It wasn't close this year. Mississippi State blew them out. Mississippi State had a lot of people returning starters on their team. Mike Leach is somewhat familiar with Arizona from his days at Washington State. You know that motherfucker's got some tricks up his sleeve. He's not. He holds back a lot. I think. That's an intelligent person. He holds back a lot. I think you just don't know what's going on with him right now. But I think that 10.5. I'll go ahead and take Mississippi State to cover that one in the desert late on Saturday night. A lot of people's gonna be watching that one, ain't they? A lot of people will be tuned in watching that. There'll be more people watching Pac-12 after dark, probably than ever has. Just because, I mean, a lot of fans of these SEC teams are going to be watching. I'm really not all that interested in Mississippi State because the Gamecocks don't play them, but I'll still be tuned in and watching it. It's on FS1 at 10, that's at 11. It's at 11 o'clock. Dang. On Saturday night. So that game's starting at 8 o'clock their time. Anyway, guys, those are my picks against the spread for week number 2. Planning on going back, watching them, writing them all down, and Sunday, hey, I'll make a video. Sunday I'll make a reaction video to the Gamecocks game, win or lose against Arkansas. Win. And then I'll make a reaction video to my picks against the spread. Hope y'all enjoyed that. Hit it with a thumbs up. See you later. Peace. I'm out. Go Cox. Woo!